Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I've got a lot to say and only a small window of opportunity to say because my SD card has said I only have a certain amount of minutes left on it, so let's see if I can do this. Let's just get right in. Poms is a 2019 American comedy film directed by Zara Hayes and written by Hayes and Shane Atkinson. It follows a group of women from a retirement home who decide to start a cheerleading squad. Poms is one of those films that fly under the radar for the masses but tend to register on mine, so safe to say I was quite enthusiastic about watching it. Unfortunately, my enthusiasm was misplaced as this film ended up being quite underwhelming despite making me tear up a few times. The plot of the film, when you think about it, is non-existent and there is no character development for any of our main characters. In fact, there is more development in our side characters, and of course, because they are side characters, it's not much. Poms has some great theme ideas but doesn't really drive any of them home. We have the theme of how we as a society treat those in their retirement years, children who start parenting their own parents and treating them like invalids to a disrespectful and patronizing degree. This also allows the film to address ageism, how the characters in this film are numerous times denied something or put down because they are too old. It certainly makes you question if you ever want to wait to get old. If everyone around you treats you like you can't do anything and won't let you do anything, then what is the point of living? Are we cutting the lives of our elders short by preventing them from making the most out of their final years? There are themes about living without regret, and there are themes about social cliques, how cliques are not restricted to age and can be found in any setting. Each of these things is touched on in the film, but not in a way where they stood out, were original, or made an impact on the overall story. I love the cast of this film. They picked such a terrific set of actresses, which is why I was so upset to see them so wasted. Diane Keaton plays Martha, a woman who is dying of ovarian cancer, and because she has no living relatives, decides to move into a retirement village and live out her days there. During a random conversation with her new neighbor, she decides to start a cheerleading squad so she can finally have the chance to cheer that she missed decades ago. It's fairly straightforward, but how we get there is rushed and somewhat nonsensical. Martha is antisocial and doesn't like her neighbor due to the fact her neighbor is nosy, pushy, loud, disturbing, and flat out intruded into her house on 2 separate occasions and took over her home on the first. How these two ever became best friends, I still don't understand. Their bond is formed instantaneously and does not feel natural, so watching the events unfold just doesn't feel right. As the story goes on, we see Martha hiding her condition from everyone, but eventually her best friend finds out. Nevertheless, most of Martha's battle with cancer is brief and not made a priority. It comes and goes sporadically, as does the character's death, which is never seen and only hinted at, which also comes and goes very quickly. Martha forming bonds with people that we don't ever see her take the time to get to know makes no sense, and it bothers me. Martha's neighbor, Cheryl, played by Jackie Weaver, is an outgoing, adventurous, and sexual woman who tends to insert herself into any person's life, whether they like it or not. She's an unofficial substitute teacher who is secretly hiding her grandson in her home because his parents aren't fit to take care of him. We learn more about her grandson in this film than about her. She's the one always egging Martha on, and that's really all she does. Rhea Perlman plays Alice, a woman who is living a life controlled by her overbearing husband. She finally gets to join the squad when he conveniently dies the same night she wishes to join. It's hinted at a couple of times in the film that she bumped him off, which is told in a comedic fashion, but I just can't see how murder for the sake of joining an activity group is funny. I wouldn't be one to cry at his funeral as he sounded like an absolute tyrant and bully towards his wife, but it would have had far more impact to have her stand up for herself and say no to this domineering force as opposed to murdering him off screen. Outside of this, the character does nothing else. Pam Grier, who plays Olive, actually has more going for her than some of the others. We see glimpses into her personal life, we see how cheerleading and having these friends are making her feel young and energetic, and it makes her husband fall in love with her all over again and really rekindles a spark in their marriage, which, although I doubt had gone out, was maybe just a little still. We see her husband loving and supporting her and even going to cheer her on in the competition. Her character and her moments were the highlights for me. Phyllis Somerville, who sadly doesn't even make it on the movie poster, plays Helen, and her character has a lot to offer the story, but I don't feel they did enough with her. Her character just wants to have fun and hang out with her new friends, and her horrible son comes along, calls her crazy, senile, controls her money, controls her life, and then moves in with his wife to keep her prisoner in her own retirement house. It was disgusting to witness only because it's very realistic. Watching her give him the finger was a brilliant moment. Her character's story had a lot of relevance to it, and it hits you because there is nothing wrong, senile, or crazy about wanting to have some fun with friends, and people who treat their elders, let alone their parents, this way is just despicable. So I wish they had given us more with that because it was a significant plot element. Carol Sutton plays Ruby, and that is all we know about this woman. We know nothing else about this character other than that she is fun and energetic and really wants just to get down and live a little. She had so much pep and she really catches your eye, but they wrote no story for her. We learn nothing about her, and she isn't even featured on the movie poster. Why only feature half the squad, and a small one at that? Makes no sense to me. Ginny McCall, who plays Evelyn, was painfully underused. Ginny McCall is actually the oldest woman to compete in American Ninja Warrior at the age of 66. There is a great deal this woman is capable of, and yet all she gets to do in this film is a few splits and show off that even at her age she is still flexible. You cast an American Ninja Warrior and reduce her to a one-trick gag. That is just a wasted opportunity right there. Patricia French plays Phyllis, and while her character is just like Ruby, I am wondering why Phyllis is on the movie poster and Ruby isn't. Phyllis is like Ruby in that they have no character development, no backstory, no character really other than being a person who just wants to have fun. Outside of that, we have nada. Then of course we have Celia Weston. Now her character had more going on and had more to contribute. I just wasn't buying the direction they went with her. They wrote her character as a Southern Belle who was a head cheerleader in her youth and felt she had to uphold every Southern Belle and head cheerleader stereotype, even in her retirement years. She is the unofficial ruler of the retirement village. She dictates everyone's life and demands it to be run her way or the highway, which I don't understand, nor do I understand why anyone listens to her. She's just a high school bully who never dropped the routine after graduation. Her character is already hinted at as being a racist, which wouldn't surprise me, but mostly she's just a horrible person out to ruin everyone else's fun, which I fully accept that aspect of her character and believe it was spot on. It's the fact a retiree is controlling an entire community and has people scared stiff of her, and there is no real reason for it. What's she gonna do? Take away their buggies? I find it disappointing that in a film about middle-aged women going out and living and taking chances and doing things like fitness or bowling, put more effort into developing its teen characters than the leads of the film. Also, Bruce McGill, who plays Chief Carl as his character, finally developed a spine at the end of the film. But in regards to our youth, we have Alicia Bowe, who plays Chloe, a head cheerleader who genuinely seems like a nice person underneath this snarky persona. She wants to learn and does have some respect for her elders, but it's clear she doesn't have at-home guidance and support, and she is a victim of high school peer pressure, acting how she thinks she's expected to act, which she doesn't like. As her character says, "I never had a grandmother, now I have 8. I love this line. I love the bond she shared with these women. I love how she brought something to their life and they brought something to hers, and she became a more humble and confident person. Charlie Tahan plays Ben, Cheryl's grandson. He went from meek and quiet to showcasing some tech skills, developing confidence in himself, learning to drive, and taking a risk with the girl he likes. But we missed the opportunity to understand the relationship between him and his grandmother better. It's clear he loves her more than his parents and he's closer to her and she is more protective of him, but it's all inferred and never showcased. I think that dynamic would have been really great to include in the film. While these side characters aren't meant to mean much, I like their growth. Just sad that more effort went into writing them than the middle-aged women this film was meant to be showcasing and speaking on behalf of. I honestly did not hate this film. It had some beautiful moments and I certainly teared up a couple of times, but the moment that made the whole film worth it was the cheer routine at the end. At that moment, I quit all my complaining and smiled and cheered. I had such a blast watching these women cheer. The notion that there is an age limit on being a cheerleader is insane. Cheering isn't about doing stunts or wearing insanely tight and revealing outfits. It's about spirit and getting people energized and enthusiastic and exciting a crowd and your fellow team, and that's what these women did. The crowd was having a fantastic time watching them and I was having a fantastic time watching them. This moment made everything worth it, and I mean that sincerely. It was simple, but boy was it effective. Really, when I think about it, this film is mostly made up of cheer training montages. We have a few minutes of dialogue, then we get a cheer training montage, little more dialogue, then quickly hit with another montage, then another, then another. This was less of a film and more just a bunch of montages put together. It lacked a real story. I loved all the songs they played in this film, but it was one after another and we weren't getting enough of breathing time before we got another song played over another of those montages. And maybe they weren't always cheer related, but they were still montages. I just wish the film had taken the time to really give us a thoughtful story and was more considerate of its characters and audience. I mean, Jackie Weaver and Angelica Houston had an internet fight over this movie, for Pete's sake. This could have sent such a great message. It could have been far more uplifting and made an impact while still being fun and funny, and it just ended as a wasted opportunity that doesn't really benefit the demographic it's trying to represent or help. I love the idea of seeing older actresses being allowed to play older characters and not playing sick or dying invalids or someone's grandmother, but being their own character with their own intricate stories. I want to see more of that because we know how Hollywood tends to treat women over a certain age, and it's almost a topic story writers want to stay away from. You either cast someone like Helen Mirren as a former British spy who still kicks ass, or you have her dying of cancer or old age in some drama film. And I want to see more of the in-between. Hell, give me a new Girls Trip movie, but make the cast a bunch of women in their 70s. I will pay to see that. So ultimately, so much potential, but it was all wasted, and while the cheer routine made it feel worth putting up with just to get that, in perspective, it just wasn't enough. Ooh yeah, and I got right in before my SD card ran out. Go me, that's gonna be a brand new record. Cheer for me, cheer for me. Yeah, woo, woo, woo. It's not the same if you don't have pom-poms. I want pom-poms. I'm gonna go make some. Actually, I won't. I'll make my nieces do it next time they come over. Fun activity for them. Well, it's not technically child slavery because they're getting enjoyment out of it. They like doing things. My eldest niece, she hates not doing anything. She'll just sit there and go, I'm bored. I want to do something. It's like, God, why couldn't you be more like me and just sit in front of the TV? She does that too sometimes. Anyway, way off topic. Yeah, I was really excited to watch this film. It's definitely, the premise is something that would be up my alley and to my liking, and my mom was even going to see it, but then after I saw it, I told her not to watch it because I know what my mom likes and dislikes, and she was not going to like this film because she already hates Jackie Weaver, and Jackie Weaver's character is super annoying in this film, so I'm like, nope. No, don't watch it, mama, stay away. She's like, okay. So I don't usually do that, but I know my mother quite well. So last time I said, she's like, I hated that film. I'm like, told you not to watch it, told you wouldn't like it. But anyway, yeah, if you have seen Poms, I know it made very, very little at the box office. It had very limited releases everywhere, even at my cinema. So if you're one of the people who managed to see it, or you have seen it after its theatrical release, please comment below and tell me what you thought of it. Yeah, it's one of those films that just, like I said, flew right under the radar. Although in this case, it's not necessarily a bad thing because it wasn't that great. It's not a terrible film, it's just disappointing. hate, I'd rather something be terrible than disappointing. Disappointing is almost worse. Alas, here we are. And now I've got a message on my phone that I have to go and answer. So, thank you so much for watching. And like I said, comment if you've seen this video. No, not this. Although you can if you want to, but comment mostly if you've seen this film and tell me what you think of it. Or you can just comment randomly, anything you want, I guess. It's your prerogative. I ain't gonna tell you what you do to do, just don't be nasty. We ain't got time for that here. So, that's all I'm gonna say for today, and I'm gonna finish this off as always by thanking my patrons, and until next time, bye!